both of us have so much emphasis on community in the work that we do, because community is so central, I think, to this, to progress and to learning and to developing. And, you're never back to square one. It's like, that's a phrase I hear people saying, like, oh, now I'm back to square one. It's like, you can't go back to square one, because you're starting with all of that experience and all the lessons, and you're a different person now, and that's where you're starting from.
Yeah. Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine Esbrand. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. Hello, and welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're talking all things confidence. If you have made any kind of move in your career, the likelihood is you have experienced a dip of or lack of confidence as you've made your transition. And in today's episode, we want to give you some practical tools and thought processes that you can adopt to navigate those seasons and really boost your confidence. And I'm joined by the amazing Lauren Currie, who is the founder of the Upfront movement. And we talk about her journey to creating the movement and how she's navigated different seasons in her professional career and the ways in which you can really lean into confidence, development, and growth being an ongoing practice for you. There's so many gems in this conversation. I cannot wait for you to hear. So without further ado, let's just dive in to my conversation with Lauren. Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Janine. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm super excited for our conversation today. It's been a while and I'm excited for us to dig in. Before we do that, would you like to just go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience and let everybody know a bit about you and your background?
Of course, I would love to. Hello, lovely listeners, wherever you are in the world. I am looking forward to spending the next hour in your ears. My name is Lauren Currie and I am an entrepreneur. I'm a founder. I have been building businesses for 15 years. And Upfront is my sixth business. This is my current business where I'm the CEO. And we are on a mission to upskill 10 million women with confidence and visibility and leadership. I grew up in Scotland, as you can probably tell. I am from a place called Kilmarnock that's near Glasgow. And I live in Sweden. So me and my family moved to Sweden 4 years ago. I have a young son who is 7 years old. And yeah, I think those are the headlines.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. There's so much in there. I'm like, I want to hear about Sweden, but we'll do that in a bit. You've done a lot in your career. So you mentioned that this is your sixth business, and prior to being a business owner, you had stuff going on. So talk a little bit about your journey from a career perspective that kind of led you to being the founder of Upfront and driving this incredible movement.
So my journey started at art school. So I went to Duncan of Jordanstone Art School in Dundee to study product design engineering. So I wanted to be the next Steve Jobs that would design a product that would change the world and make me rich. Very quickly into my studies at university, I discovered this thing called service design, which was about taking all the same principles and methodologies that you would use to design a product and applying that to an end-to-end service. So a service, of course, is everything from buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks to booking a holiday, going to a funeral, getting a bra fitting, and everything in between. And lots of the time, services haven't been designed with people in mind. Usually they're designed with business metrics in mind. And so this was kind of early 2000s when service design was a very emerging discipline. It wasn't something that you could study or buy books about. And so I just became absolutely fascinated and obsessed with how do I be a service designer? How can I design services that will make people's lives better? So that led to me setting up Scotland's first service design consultancy. It was one of the first of its kind around bringing service design to the public sector in Scotland. So I co-founded that when I was 23 and built that up, got one paying customer, then got another paying customer and grew that into 30-person consultancy. And I did that for 7 or 8 years. And then I decided I was going to try being employed and got a job, which did not last very long. It was still a great experience. So I spent a year at an alternative education institution called Hyper Island. And I designed a master's program in service design because they could see there was a huge demand for the people that wanted to learn service design. And I then moved to an organisation called Good Lab, where we were tasked with building a business that was going to generate £250 million of profit every year for the charity sector.
Oh, wow.
So that was a huge challenge and very fun. And then I got interested in organisational design because what I could see was, okay, we're getting really good at service design. We're good at product design. We know how to create services that work for people, but very often those services are not being implemented because of internal chaos inside organisations. Yeah. So then I built my next business, which was an organisational design consultancy that was all about taking that same design methodology, but applying it to organisations, leadership, culture and teams. Then I spent some time building an app to democratise leadership development. So I'd done the consultancy thing and now I wanted to try having an actual product. So we raised some money, built a prototype. We wanted to build an app that would make leadership training available to everybody and anybody. And kind of halfway through that story, I founded Upfront, which was never, I say founded, it was never ever meant to be a business. It was very much me being irritated and angry at something and trying to make it better. And so Upfront started because I was often on stage. I've mentioned a few different businesses and it was my job to be on stage, to be evangelizing about service design, inspiring people as to what's possible, talking about our work. And often I was the only woman on the bill. I was often the youngest person in the room, the only person with a regional accent. And I was just totally naive. I just did not understand why that was. Because I had believed this lie that we're fed of meritocracy, right? It's like, well, the best people get the job and everything's fair and everybody's had their chance, which is, of course, so far away from the truth. And so I was speaking at a conference in 2016 and just decided, right, that's it. Like, I've complained enough. I need to try and fix this. And so I put a post-it note in the women's toilets that said, do you want to talk on stage? Like, why aren't you talking on stage? And there was a big queue of people waiting to speak to me. And that was the day that Upfront was born, the day that there was a fire lit in my belly that I don't think will ever go out, because it's the day that I also discovered how complex this is. It's very complex, it's intersectional, it's systemic. But at the core of it, there is this key idea that so many women just don't see themselves as someone who could take up space on a stage. And so that was where Upfront started. I decided I was going to bring a big red sofa on stage with me every time I gave a keynote so that people with stage fright could sit on the couch and relax and realise that it's not that scary. And so, very long story short, did that for 6 years on the side of my other businesses whilst being a chairperson at Pregnant Then Screwed and the Design Council. And 4 years ago decided to close all my other businesses and jump into Upfront with both feet. And now we are building a global movement. We've supported over 11,000 women from 24 time zones. And our product really is the go-to choice for women in organisations who want to learn confidence.
So good. like so incredible. I love how it wasn't that you set out to build this movement initially, and like literally when you say that story, it's like, okay, it started with frustration and then a post-it note and then off the back of the post-it note, everything has grown from there. And I think it's wonderful because there are so many layers to it. And when you speak to people, and when I'm coaching clients, and it's like, what is it? Often it's like the story that people tell themselves around how they're going to be received. And then, like you said, there's loads of underlying things in terms of how people have been conditioned and what they've had as experience before. And so you just need someone to come in and challenge your thinking, but then also give you the tools to be like, okay, like, how do I do it? So I love that you created like a product that just supports people in the round.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's so good. So when you think about like the growth of it, when you went full time into Upfront, like talk a little bit about what were some of the key milestones when you were like, okay, this is the thing that I do. I bring my sofa, I give people space. Actually, now we want to build something bigger. How did you make that shift in your mind as a leader to be like, oh, actually, this is going to be a thing? And then what were some of the steps that you took to say, we're going to get it, we're going to make it big?
Yeah, we're going to go. It's a great question, because the short answer is it took me 6 years because I was totally convinced that something that felt this good for me and that helped so many people could never be a business.
Wow.
And so it took me a really long time to trust myself, to unlearn a lot of these kind of limiting beliefs in the stories I was telling myself. So, as you said, it started off for a long time. It was the sofa, and, you know, there was no commercial model. Nobody got paid. My mum made Upfront cushion covers that I still have in my house on my bed. And we used to post the cushion cover. So say a conference in Canada would get in touch.
Right.
You know, can we have the Upfront couch on our stage? Like, sure, we'll post you the cushion cover, get your Upfront cushions on your couch. Here's the email you send out to all your ticket holders to say, you know, our speaker, Janine, has decided she wants to be Upfront. This is why. If you have stage fright and you'd love to experience the stage without the scary bit, here's how you apply. And so we did that for hundreds and hundreds of people. We had many friends of mine and people in my network who were speakers, and I would always, you know, ask them. So, you know, I would see on your Instagram you're doing a TED talk, and I'd be like, Janine, I see you've just got a talk. Amazing. Congratulations. Would you be up for having the couch on stage with you? And, you know, most people, you know, most women say yes, because they understand where that fear is coming from in other people, and they've had to do a lot of work to become a person who's on stage themselves in the first place.
Yeah.
And so I would always have debrief conversations with the people who'd sat on the couch. We also got them to fill in surveys. So we had data to show that just by sitting on that couch for 15, 20 minutes, you're like 80% more likely to apply to speak at a conference yourself one day. And so when I would speak to them, they, you know, for some of them, it was totally transformational. They'd done a 360. For some of them, it was, you know, they started at a 0 and they'd moved to a 1. You know, it's like, this is, you know, it's moving them along the journey. And for many of them, they were saying, okay, this was good. It's unlocked something in me. So what have you got for me? Like, have you got a workshop? Have you got a book? Have you got a podcast? Have you got a course? And meanwhile, I'm like, I have none of those things because I'm running my other businesses. So when I looked online where to send these people, you know, the majority of them are women, many of them women of colour, you know, people from different marginalised identities. I'm like, okay, there's like Gary V, Tony Robbins, American, fake it till you make it. And, you know, I do think there's huge value in some of that work.
Yeah.
It didn't feel right to me. Like it just didn't feel like the space that I would have told these women to go to. Then on the other side, you've got the kind of Royal Academy of dance and drama and learn confidence through breath and body and movement. Again, like super valuable, but not the vibe. So I'm like, okay, there is a massive opportunity, a massive gap in the market for a course, a learning experience that is supporting women, that is starting from a place of this is a systemic problem. This is a world problem, not a women problem. And it's looking at the reality of bias and prejudice and systemic barriers, and how do we navigate that, and how do we then use our own confidence to try and change that reality for the generations that are coming after us. So I just seen a really big opportunity and a big gap. So I decided that I would run a workshop. And this was when I was employed. So I asked my boss at Good Lab if I could use the office at the weekend. Beautiful office near London Bridge. And he was super kind, said yes. So I'd go there on a Saturday. I'd take all the furniture out the room. I'd bring my kettle from my flat. I'd bring my books from my flat to make an upfront library. I had my own badge maker. So I used to sit and make handmade badges for all the women who'd bought a ticket. It was £25-30 a ticket, and maybe 30 people could fit in the room. And I did that every Saturday for a couple of years, few months. And that workshop was essentially me bringing together all my skills from service design, facilitation, improvisation, public speaking. And I teamed up with friends of mine who were actors because they had been taught the physicality stuff. It's like when you go to drama school, you get taught how to project your voice, how to breathe, how to stand when you're feeling nervous. All of these things that mere mortals like me who did not go to drama school, we don't get taught this stuff.
Yeah.
And so the workshops, they sold out every time. People absolutely loved them. We got incredible feedback. And I was just high as a kite after every one. It was like my most favourite thing. So fulfilling, so much fun. And then through that work, I guess some of the women who came along worked for organisations. So businesses got wind of what we were doing. So I remember I got emails from businesses like the Co-op and Accenture saying, oh, Amanda and our team came along to your workshop on Saturday. Could you run this session for a wider group of people inside the organisation? And so I'm like, absolutely, we can do that. Making up prices, making up agendas. And I guess that was when I was starting to think, okay, this is starting to feel real. But I was also so aware of like, it needs me to spend all day in this room teaching these people, and only 30 people can fit in the room.
Yes.
Like, it needs to be online.
Yeah.
And then I was just totally blocked because I thought what happened in those rooms was so transformative, really emotional. Often people were crying. There was a lot of transformation happened, which was what made the experience so powerful. And I had just decided, well, that wouldn't work online.
Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine sitting me down and saying, you do know the fastest growing market online is physical fitness. And that is a very physical, it's like you need to be able to see muscles and movements and positions. And they were like, if they can do it online, you can figure out how to do this online. And so that I was like, okay, I hear that. And that was when I decided I was going to build an online course. And of course, that online course has now evolved into our flagship product, which is the Bond, our 6-week online learning experience. So yeah, this was kind of 2019, made the course. My son had just been born, so he was like toddling around my feet while I'm making these videos in my living room with my partner, editing the scripts as we were going. I hired a local student to come with her professional camera equipment and film the videos. And we had a Facebook group and used an online course platform to upload all the videos and launched it. And the rest is history. So I guess, for the first few bonds, I was still working at my other business. I was building the leadership app. And then it was around Bond 5, I think, was when I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. But it was really, really difficult for me. It took me years to feel safe to do that. And it's interesting because all the people around me were like, well, duh.
Yeah.
Like that, this is what you're meant to do. We all knew this was coming. No, I was like, what? Because for me, it felt like such a big, scary, risky thing. Looking back, of course, it was the very natural, obvious next step. And I actually recorded a whole podcast of my own on my own podcast about those 6 years and the lessons that I learned that made me, that got me to a place where I could say, yes, let's do this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I love that journey. And a few things that jumped out to me as you were speaking. One is how you were able to bring all of your experience from the different businesses you've run and the things you've done in the past to decide to create it in the way that you did. And I think sometimes when people think about transitions and change, they very much think they're starting at the bottom. Like, I'm going to do this whole different thing, and so I have to restart. And my thing is, you're never restarting. Like, you're always bringing your experience. And when I think about, I started my career as a lawyer, how I approach the work that I do as a coach and as a facilitator, as a speaker, my lawyer brain is always in there, right? You don't separate it out. So I think really leaning into everything that you bring to the table to create this new thing is amazing. And then the other thing, when you said about your friend saying to you, look, like, there's a whole industry. And I think sometimes we just underestimate the power of like that one friend or that one community that you're in, because your brilliance was there and everyone else can see it. Had they not said to you in the way they said it, like, there's this whole fitness movement and they're making it work, you can make it work, the penny might not have dropped in the way that it did when it did. And so I think that having that supportive network of other people that can bring a different perspective, that can just do that like pattern interrupt for your brain, where it's like, oh, actually, yeah, why couldn't I?
Absolutely, for sure. And I think that's why, both of us have so much emphasis on community in the work that we do, because community is so central, I think, to this, to progress and to learning and to developing. And, you're never back to square one. It's like, that's a phrase I hear people saying, like, oh, now I'm back to square one. It's like, you can't go back to square one, because you're starting with all of that experience and all the lessons, and you're a different person now, and that's where you're starting from.
Yeah. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the bonds and like the experience inside them for women, because like I've run group programs before, and that whole piece around people getting vulnerable and emotional and like the tears, and then the level of camaraderie that can happen in a short space of time, where you have like a group of women coming into a container that don't know each other, and then by the end, like my program was like career transitions, so like having people really like, okay, so what's going on and what was the outcome of the interview, and like really cheering people on and being so happy for someone that like a few months ago was a stranger. It's just amazing. And so I can only imagine in the bonds that you're creating and those spaces and the topic that you're digging into, how much people come away with like a new group of cheerleaders that are like rooting in their corner.
Yeah, 100%. I always say to folks, because after the bond, folks join our membership community, Upfront Global. And I often say, like, Upfront Global is like having 1,000 cheerleaders in your pocket 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
And, often these people cheer for you, often louder than the people who actually love you, know you very well, cheer for you, because they only know this new version of you.
Right.
And they are as excited for that new version of you as they are for themselves. So I agree, it's a really powerful thing. And so the bond works as a 6-week learning experience, and there's 3 main delivery components. There's of course the online course element, which is the kind of traditional There's 26 videos. They are all very bite-sized, action-orientated, evidence-based. Every video has a reading list that people can download and keep forever. And the second piece is we have weekly live calls every Monday, and they are delivered by experts from our faculty of bond coaches. So, for example, the bond that we have live at the moment, Bond 9 in our NIHR bond, the coach there is Winnie Ann Forson, and she is the head of D&I at the Royal Mail. So we have a bunch of incredible women who bring different verticals of expertise to those live calls, and the lives are high energy, kind of TEDx style, inspirational, motivational, and we're digging into specific challenges and themes that the group have.
Yeah.
And then the third element is the community piece. So there are lots of touch points where we're encouraging people to meet up offline with the bonders in their own city. And part of the power of being such a global community is that, you know, we have people joining from India, from Australia, from New Zealand, from all over Europe, and you know they're able to find women in their local city.
Yeah.
We also have what we call Huddle and Bond, which is kind of Upfront's answer to speed dating. So Huddle and Bond works where you choose a 30-minute slot in the day that works for your diary, and you turn up and you're going to be randomly in a room with 4 or 5 other bonders to have a conversation about what you're learning, what you're working on, what you need support with. And then every Wednesday we have a structured Huddle and Bond Power Hour that is facilitated by Daisy and our team. And that's more structured, where there's a facilitator and specific questions. And, you know, people just leave that hour in a totally different place, refreshed, motivated, feeling connected and energized. And they run every Wednesday forever for all of our bonders. So, you know, there's the 6 weeks is really just the start of, it's really just the start of the journey. And we have a robust evaluation framework where all of our bonders answer a set of questions at the start of the 6 weeks and then answer the same questions at the end of the 6 weeks, which is why I'm able to sit here and say things to you like 85% of bonders feel more equipped to deal with change. 90% of them feel ready to apply for leadership positions. The average salary increase for a bonder is 46%. You know, so we have got the data, we've got the receipts to show that the product really does what it says on the tin. And it's also designed to be very, very flexible to respond to the fact that we all like to learn differently. So, you know, maybe you're someone who likes to learn on your own through audio. Maybe you like to learn through visual. Maybe you like to learn through writing. Maybe you like to learn in big groups, small groups. So it's almost like a buffet, and you get to choose the bits that suit how you like to learn. And it's very flexible, which means it's for organizations, it's totally scalable across time zones and geographies.
Right.
For individuals, it means, you know, we've got mums doing it in the middle of the night while they're breastfeeding. We've got shift workers doing it really early in the morning when they're ending their night shift.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got folks that work in an office doing it at their lunch break. It's very vast and varied, which I think is one of the reasons that people love it so much. And it really is about totally resetting everything you've been taught about what confidence is, where it comes from, how you cultivate it in yourself, how you cultivate it in other people. And to your point, Janine, you know, I always say you're going to meet at least one person who will stay in your life for a really long time and be a true friend.
Yeah.
And you're going to meet one person who will open a professional door for you that will change the game.
Yeah.
And I think those are the stories that I, you know, never tire of hearing about. Yeah. And I know that there's bonders who are still in touch and supporting each other or working together years and years after the bond. Because we're on, I mean, Bond 9's live at the moment. It's Bond 10 in November. So, you know, we've had 10 public cohorts, many business cohorts. And we also now have bonds for lots of different verticals. So we've got a leadership bond. We've just announced that we're building a boys bond for mothers and young sons to do the learning together. I'm working on a Swift strategy bond to help business owners apply Taylor Swift's entrepreneurial strategies to their own business, which I'm very excited about because I am I have been totally converted to being a Swiftie. So even if you're not a Swiftie, it's like there is no doubt that she is an incredible businesswoman.
Yeah.
And I think there is so much opportunity. There's so much we can learn from how she's achieved the success she's achieved. And we're working on financial literacy bond, an entrepreneurship bond, personal branding bonds. You know, the vision is that over the next few years, Upfront will become, no matter what you want to learn, there will be a bond that can teach you that, and you will come to Upfront, you'll find the bond that works for the subject you want to learn, the time frame you've got, the budget you've got.
I'd love for you to share what the biggest misconception is when it comes to confidence, because you said helping people to relearn what confidence even is. So what do people think it is that it isn't? And like, what is a way that you approach?
Okay, yeah, good question. So the biggest misconception is that confidence is something that you're born with. Some people have it, some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
And she has it and I don't. You know, this is the story we grow up telling ourselves. And the truth is, confidence is a muscle and it is a skill that you build. The same way that you learn to code, the way you learn to breastfeed, the way you learn to play basketball, you can learn confidence. And it is, and that's what the bond is. It's giving you tools, strategies, insight to build a life where you are practicing confidence on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's also like, you can't graduate from confidence. Like, you're never done. It's like you don't get a gold star. Because people might look at me and say, oh, you know, she's such a good public speaker and she runs a business about confidence. She's got it all figured out. It's like, absolutely not. Every level you get to, there's just a whole bunch of new confidence challenges. Mm-hmm. I will be working on my confidence forever till I die. Yeah. Like, it's not a thing that you're ever done with. And that's, I think, what makes it so powerful, because when you do commit to those daily practices, you know, the growth does happen really quickly. So yeah, that's definitely the biggest misconception that I'm always here to bust. It's not something you're born with, it's something that you build.
Yeah. And it's so true in terms of it comes, and I always say to people, like, it comes from action. It's almost like people are waiting to feel confident before they do whatever the thing is. And it's like it comes from doing the thing over and over again that you become confident. And so to your point, whenever you're in a different scenario, different situation, different requirements of you, you're not going to feel confident because you haven't done it before. And so you have to do the thing. And so it's great that there are tools for people to kind of practice and get used to feeling of, oh, I don't feel confident, but I know how to get there, versus I don't feel confident, so I'm not going to do the thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it's interesting. Like, for me, a recent moment where that happened is I have been getting really kind of excited and inspired by creative writing and reading a lot of novels. You know, now my son is 7, I feel like I'm able to read again, and I love reading. So I'm reading lots of novels and listening to lots of interviews with authors and having ideas for a novel. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to write a novel and it's going to be great. And, you know, I sat down and just felt so sick and felt so stupid. I was like, this is awful. I can't do it. I'll never be. And I was like, oh, this is new. Here it is. Like, this is it. Like, I've gone to a place where I have no confidence whatsoever. And so my brain's immediately telling me, this will never work. You can't do it. You're an idiot. Everybody's going to laugh at you. And I was like, okay, this is fun. This means I need to stay here. This means I need to do it. And, you know, that's how I'm approaching it now. It's like, I need to, it's almost like a compass. It's like a green light saying, come, stay here. This is where the growth's going to happen.
And I think that's so good that you put yourself in those situations, because as someone who leads this kind of movement, it's like everybody is experience that feeling of lack of confidence. So if you stay in your comfort zone and you don't remind yourself of how it feels, like it could come to a point where you're so far removed, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, I just do what I do. And because I do what I do the same way that I've always done it, I just feel confident in what I do. But like, you're pushing yourself out there to be like, okay, I'm getting back to where I feel how you guys feel, and being able to relate, I think is so valuable for people to see, like, so that it isn't kind of like, oh, Lauren's got it all figured out. Like, you showing the behind the scenes of like, no, I'm continually battling with this just as you guys are. And so keep coming with me on the journey, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's I feel like it's getting more extreme. It's the year before last, I ran a marathon. As somebody who has never,
oh my goodness,
I don't run. There's no runners in my family. I literally moved to Sweden 4 years ago. Did not own trainers. I cannot stress you enough how much this was so far outside my comfort zone. Signed up to run a marathon. Shit scared. Hated it. Didn't know what I was doing. So glad I did it and proud. I also did stand-up comedy. And yeah, now I'm writing. I say I'm writing. I can't say
you are writing.
I'm not writing it. I am going to write a novel, and so I also feel excited. I feel grateful because my work does put me in a place where I feel like I don't have any other choice for exactly the reasons you just said. It's I feel like I actually have a responsibility to practice what I preach and to continually do that. And sure, I'm also sometimes I need to just have a rest, and I don't need to be constantly pushing myself outside my comfort zone. Sometimes I want to just chill and go to bed and there's no big scary projects going on. Yeah. But also I just love it. I love growth and I love new challenges, and the more you do it, the more it does feel like a fun thing where everything's an option, everything's a possibility.
Yeah. I love that you're I'm not a runner, so I'm just going to do a full marathon. Not half. I'm going to do a whole full marathon. Just go all in. Let's just.
Yeah.
When you think about the current landscape that we're in and women in the workplace and the work that you've done with so many women around the world, what are some of the challenges that you think women who are climbing the ranks and looking to move towards leadership are facing, and what are some of the things that we can be prioritizing in 2025 and beyond?
So I think one of the big challenges is limited access to leadership positions, to high impact opportunities, and it's we see this across all of the data, that there is just intense underrepresentation. And I think that's a huge amount to do with gender bias and the motherhood penalty, and women just not having access to high profile projects, high profile opportunities. And that is something that we see time and time again in a lot of the corporates that we work with.
Yeah.
I think the second piece is work life, and I'm not going to say balance because I don't believe that's a thing, but kind of work life integration. Yeah. I think we still see women taking on a hugely disproportionate share of housework, of childcare, and that is impacting our career. And I think it's interesting for me that I think we've come so far in being able to have nuanced, articulate conversations about this stuff in the context of work and our professional identities. I don't see us having those same conversations in the context of our homes and our relationship with our partners, particularly women and men partnerships. And I think that is the next challenge for us. It's we need to bring that same courage and language and conversation to our homes and to our living rooms the way that we have done for our offices and our boardrooms.
Yeah.
And I think the third one is, the societal bullshit, the unconscious bias. It's we are living in a world where 90% of all people have a negativity bias towards women. And we are still living in a world where unconscious bias means we favour traditional leadership traits that are associated with men, which mean women are just constantly in this double bind of, we're too confident, not confident enough, we're not assertive enough, now we're bossy. It's just very difficult to create equity when there's so much bias. So I think those are the three main challenges that I see. And for solutions, I think for organisations, they do need to be thinking about how to support their women, how to create pathways through sponsorship, not only mentorship.
Yeah.
And of course, what we're doing at the Bond is teaching women how to develop the confidence and skills to advocate for themselves and to play a role in making those pathways and those opportunities happen. Then I think around the kind of work-life stuff, absolutely, we need flexible work policies. We need better childcare. We need so much better infrastructure. But I also think there's the individual piece of women learning how to communicate clearly, how to set boundaries, how to articulate their needs, how to push back on unrealistic expectations. You know, I see so many of the women around me absolutely on their knees with exhaustion. And absolutely, some of it is systemic, and no matter how smart you are and how hard you work, you can't overcome that stuff. But there's also a huge part of it that is personal kind of martyrdom and people pleasing and refusing to do the hard emotional work of learning how to put yourself first and learning how to say no, and all of the really difficult stuff that, you know, you and I and lots of women listening have done that work. And it is hard, but it is, you know, it's so worth it.
Yeah.
And then the bigger piece around, you know, how do we change the world? Like, how do we build a world that is kind to women? How do we build a world that's kind to mothers? How do we build a world that rewards and celebrates and encourages confident women? And that's where I think Upfront, you know, I've designed Upfront to speak to individual action and systemic change kind of in two strands, because, you know, we talk about systemic change and it feels so huge and unyieldly, but it's people who create change.
Exactly.
And so when women feel supported and they have communities of like-minded peers, you know, like your coaching programs that you mentioned, it's like those women are much more likely to challenge biases, to rewrite narratives, to show up in their leadership positions as them, not mimicking the toxic masculinity leadership that they might see somewhere else in their organisation.
Yeah.
So I think with all of these things, it's a combination of individual action and having a systemic lens.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you were talking about the kind of like home stuff, I recently had an experience where I was like, like I've been thinking about this or making assumptions that I didn't need to make. So at the beginning of this year, I ruptured my Achilles tendon. Yeah, painful. And it's more the inconvenience than the pain, if I'm honest. It hasn't been as painful as it sounds, but it's the fact that I can't drive, I can't go anywhere. It's a very long road to recovery. So yes, it's been hard, but the plus side that has come out of this is that I haven't been able to do stuff. I haven't been able to drive. I'm normally the one who does most of the drop-offs and the pickups. I'm normally the one that takes the kids to all their after-school activities. I'm the one, right. And my husband, he is amazing. Like, he's a very hands-on dad partner. Like, he does a lot. But the fact that the mental load had to shift from me to him in lots of ways. And like, he's like, first couple weeks of him doing all the things, he's just like, oh, I'm so tired. And there's so much. And like, I'm like, yeah, like, this is what I have to do. And it's funny because where I would normally feel so stressed and like high cortisol levels in the morning, I'm like, I feel quite calm because I'm not doing all of the things. And I think it just showed me that where I've been, I have to show up, like, I need to go to that assembly and I need to go to that event and I need to go to all of these things. I haven't been able to go, and the kids have been fine. Like, I haven't needed to. And it was me putting it on myself, that because when I was growing up, my parents worked so much and they weren't able to come to my school stuff. I made it so that I needed to be every one of them. And the kids are just like, sometimes they're like, Mummy, please, can you not come because you're very loud on the sidelines and I don't want to hear you shouting. And so I had to do some reflection on like, where is this feeling that I have to show up coming from, and recognizing that, like, my husband can do the stuff. Like, he had to rearrange work sometimes and like his schedule where I would normally do that. So I think it's just us looking at, whilst there is a lot, like you said, systemically that is challenging, like, what can we do and how can we challenge the way that we've been doing things to improve our day-to-day situations and create space for you as a woman to be able to do more of the things that you enjoy doing. Just because you're a mother doesn't mean that you can't still be a woman who does stuff that you like to do or enhance yourself or grow yourself in other areas, right?
Totally. And I think your story is a really powerful one. And I hope for people listening, don't wait till you rupture your Achilles tendon for these conversations to happen. Because for you, it's like that. You know, it's been a gift in that way, that it's made these conversations come on the table, and it's changed the dynamic. It's changed things for you. But for folks listening, I was like, okay, so what can we take away from that, so that it's not about waiting till something really extreme happens, and we can use this as inspiration to think, you know, if you broke your leg tomorrow, what would happen in your house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the kids, in addition to the husband, like the kids, I have a 9-year-old who's about to be 10 and a daughter who's about to be 8. And one morning, my husband was tired after his busy week of doing all the things. And I was like, well, I can't get up to get the breakfast. And they didn't want just cereal. They wanted like eggs on avocado on toast. Okay. And I was like, well, I said to my husband, are you going to go down and help them? He's like, no, they'll figure it out. And my son and my daughter tag teamed and made avocado on toast and fried egg. And I was like, my son can make a fried egg by himself without supervision? Like, what? How is this possible? But I would never realize, because I probably wouldn't have given them the space to just go in the kitchen by themselves. I would have been like, okay, I need to be in there to watch you and make sure you're not going to burn yourself or whatever. And they just showed me, and they were so proud when they presented it. And my daughter made a smoothie as well. And they came in and they presented it, and they were like, the look on their faces of like, you've allowed us to show you that we can do this. I was like, oh, this is so amazing. They've grown up. But it's like, how much am I holding them back in areas because I feel like I have to do all the things? And it's like, they are now becoming people that need to learn how to do stuff. And I'm maybe like stopping them from progressing because I feel like I have to do things. So that was the other lesson. That was like,
I mean, it's an amazing story. And it reminds me of a conversation I had with a mentor of mine the first time I took like a long period of time off work, and I felt so uncomfortable. I was just like, this is a nightmare, it's not going to work, everything's going to go wrong. And he said something along the lines of like, if you never do this, you're never giving your team a chance to step up. And it's the exact same thing, right? It's the exact same thing you've just described. And I think we do it at work all the time.
Yeah.
And actually, when you just step back, maybe it's because you physically can't be there to do the thing. Maybe it's because you're going on holiday or whatever that looks like. It's an opportunity for your team to come together to figure stuff out without you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for me, it's a huge goal of mine. I want to build Upfront so that it doesn't need me anymore, because I have got many other businesses in me. I've got many books I want to write. You know, I've got things I want to do. And for me, a huge marker of success would be, and is right now, it's like I can take a week off to write my book and brilliant things still happen and nothing goes wrong. And if something does go wrong, my team figure it out.
Yeah. So good. Yeah. I love it. Oh, so Lauren, I want to ask you now a few quick fire questions. I like to take people behind the scenes in terms of how you do things, because just listen to this. I know people are going to be like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. Like, she's built all these businesses and this amazing movement. So bring us in the weeds a little bit in terms of like behind the scenes. What do you use that is most helpful most helpful to you in terms of like an app or a tool when you think about running your life/business? What's one tool that you are like, I couldn't live without it?
Yeah. So I think this answer might be super boring, but the real truth is my notepad and pen. Like, I cannot function and get through a day without my notepad and pen. I take my notepads very seriously. There's a specific brand that I use. They're always a specific color. I have the same with my pens. And yeah, I do get anxiety about if I ever lost this notebook, it would be a disaster.
Love it.
But yeah, my notebook is definitely number one. To choose a digital one, it would be Slack. You know, our team We are 5 people right now, which means that it's very manageable to just use Slack for communication. We don't use email internally. And, I just find Slack a really brilliant tool.
Yeah. I like that your first one wasn't a digital one, because sometimes we're so like, make everything easier, and it's not always easier just because it's digital, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite way to unwind and de-stress?
So right now, my favorite thing is to eat Maltesers and watch Portrait Artist of the Year. That is my current favorite show, and I make a huge pot of tea. I've got a jar filled with Maltesers. Portrait Artist of the Year. Perfect.
Wonderful. We love a Malteser. Which leader do you admire most and why?
Myself? Yes. Can I say myself?
Yes. You're the first person who said yourself, and I love it.
Yeah, that feels like the upfront answer, because I know it's that thing of like, only I know the amount of work and heart I have put in and do put in every day to trying to be the very best leader that I can be, and always want to learn, want to listen, ask for feedback, listen to the feedback. And like, sure, there are lots, there are lots of women in the world that I admire their leadership, but they're also women that I don't really know, if you know what I mean. It's like, I don't really know Nicola Sturgeon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what she's doing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
But I know what I'm doing behind the scenes, and I do admire myself for that.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because I think oftentimes as women, we can fall into the trap of looking at people and like almost like filling in the blanks of what we think they must be doing behind the scenes, and then comparing it to what we're not doing. And that just causes people to not progress in a lot of ways. And so I think it's important to have that distinction. Like, I see their public profile and who they are and what they do, but I don't actually know what it took for them to get there, what sacrifices they've made, or what challenges they're currently going through. So yeah, that's such an important point. My last question is, what is a saying, mantra that you either live by or you like to say a lot or you hear a lot that you like?
It's a great question. And there's definitely lots and lots that I love, but I think the one that is consistent is do the thing. Like, I am a person who does the thing, no matter what the thing is. Yeah. And I always have been, always will be. And I'm realizing, it's part of my superpower, and it's part of what makes the bonds so special and transformative, because it's something that you can teach. And it's something that, it's like, if every woman just borrowed like 20% of doing the thing, amazing things start to happen. So yeah, doing the thing.
Yes, so good. What is one last takeaway that you'd like to leave with the audience? We covered a lot.
That confidence. Yeah, confidence is a skill that you can learn, and all it takes is for you to decide you're going to learn it. Just decide.
Oh, this has been such a good convo. I love it. It's been a blessing for me, so I'm sure everyone who's listening is going to be like, yeah, this was so good. Where can people find the bonds, find you? What's the best place for them to go to learn more about the amazing work that you guys are doing?
Thank you. So I'm very active on Instagram and LinkedIn. So definitely come find me over there at Lauren Currie. You can go to weareupfront.com to check out all the bonds, Upfront Global on Instagram. I am also publishing a children's book in September called Taylor Meets the Trick, which is all about teaching young people and the grown-ups around them about the patriarchy. So if you are interested in that, be sure to find me on those platforms, say hello so you can get news when the book is out. Yeah, we'd love to welcome you to our next bond. We host free events every month. We've got a free newsletter and a podcast. So there's lots of things that you can dig into to learn more.
Yay! Awesome. I will put the links to all that you've shared in the show notes for this episode. And Lauren, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to share with us. I know you are an incredibly busy lady, and so I don't take it lightly that you've decided to spend time with me this morning and with our audience. So thank you.
Thank you. It was such an honor. I was so happy to get your invitation and just love the work that you do, love everything that you stand for, and can't wait to see what your audience think of our chat.
Yay. Oh, it's so good to catch up with Lauren and learn about the behind the scenes of building such an incredible movement. We met years ago just as she had gone full time in Upfront, and to see what she's been able to build since then is absolutely incredible. And I'm excited for you to really lean into what it is that she's sharing. So make sure that you go ahead and follow her, that you connect with her and the movement, because there's so many helpful resources available for you if you are somebody who really wants to be intentional about growing in confidence in your career, in your leadership, in your personal life. So I'm going to put the links to the website and her social platforms in the show notes. Be sure to go and follow her. So that's all from me today. Until next time, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals.